What if I told you that Amish families can keep tomatoes fresh for over 6 months using nothing but wood ash? No canning, no freezing, just a wooden crate, some dry ash from the fireplace, and a method that's been used for generations. It works, and it's not just for tomatoes. The same method helps preserve other foods too, without a single plug or machine. The Amish don't just toss any tomatoes into the ash. They start with firm, unblemished green tomatoes, not overripe and definitely not soft. If it's already squishy, it won't last. The ash they use is just as important. It comes from clean hardwood like oak or maple, never from treated or painted wood. The ash must be bone dry and completely cool. Any moisture, and the whole batch can spoil. Now here's how they do it. They take a wooden crate, sometimes even an old clay pot, and line the bottom with a thick layer of ash. Then they gently nestle the tomatoes in, making sure they don't touch each other. Once the first layer is down, they pour more ash on top, enough to cover the tomatoes fully. Then comes the next layer, and so on, like packing eggs in powder. The key is to keep the tomatoes fully surrounded by ash with no air pockets and no light. The container goes into a cool, dark place, often a root cellar or an unused cupboard near the floor. Done right, the tomatoes will last up to 6 months, sometimes even longer. When it's time to use them, they're firm, slightly ripened, and perfect for sauces, soups, or slicing up fresh. It's simple, it works, and it costs nothing, just fireplace ash and a little care. So why does wood ash work so well? First, it's completely dry. That alone slows down the decay, because moisture is what bacteria and mold love most. Take that away, and food spoils a lot slower. Second, ash is alkaline, meaning it has a high pH. And that kind of environment makes it very hard for fungi and bacteria to grow. In simple terms, it stops the bad stuff before it starts. Ash also forms a protective barrier. It blocks out light, air, and even tiny insects. No air means no oxidation. No pests, no contamination. The tomatoes are safely tucked inside like they're in their own little bubble. Even better, wood ash has a natural way of neutralizing bacteria and mold spores on the tomato's surface. It doesn't just delay spoilage, it prevents it. Now, if you compare this to refrigeration, here's the difference. Fridges slow things down, but they don't block out air, or prevent mold, or keep out humidity. Plus, if the power goes out, your food is at risk. But with wood ash, there's no electricity, no risk, and no noise. Just quiet, steady preservation that works even in the middle of winter or the middle of nowhere. That's why off-grid folks and Amish families still rely on it today. It's simple science, but incredibly effective. Tomatoes aren't the only thing the Amish preserve with ash. They use the same method or small variations of it for several other foods, many of which you might not expect. Carrots and beets, for example. The Amish gently brush off excess dirt, but they don't wash them. Washing introduces moisture, and that's the enemy here. The roots are layered in dry hardwood ash inside wooden crates or large clay crocks. Just like tomatoes, they're fully buried and kept in a cool, dark spot. They stay crisp for 4 to 5 months, sometimes longer, and are pulled out slowly over the winter for stews, pickles, or grating fresh. Celery is a bit different. The Amish often wrap the roots in cloth first, then pack them into ash upright, like candles in a box. The stalks stay firm and flavorful for several weeks to 2 months, perfect for keeping a steady winter supply without refrigeration. Now here's something that surprises many people. Unwashed eggs. If gathered fresh and never refrigerated, eggs can be stored for months in ash or even better in hydrated lime, also known as water glassing. But some Amish still use ash when lime isn't available. The eggs are placed point down and completely covered. This seals the pores in the shell and blocks bacteria from entering. It's an old trick, but it works. Then there are seeds like cucumber, tomato, and bean seeds. Once fully dried, Amish families often store them in jars filled with fine ash. The ash protects the seeds from moisture, mold, and insects. Come spring, the seeds are still viable and ready to plant, no special equipment needed. Potatoes are another staple. In some Amish homes, they're layered with a mix of lime and ash, especially if the storage area is a bit damp. The ash absorbs moisture, the lime keeps fungal rot away, and together they can preserve potatoes for up to 5 or 6 months without sprouting or shriveling. And while it's not common in Amish homes, other cultures, especially in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, have used straw ash to store melons through the cold months. The dry ash cushions and insulates the fruit, keeping it from spoiling. Whether it's seeds for next season or carrots for supper next month, wood ash helps the Amish stretch their harvest without a single modern appliance. The Amish aren't the only ones who've trusted wood ash. This method of preservation and protection shows up across the globe, and it's still alive today. A woman from Namibia shared something very valuable, saying her grandmother stored seeds in ash to keep them safe from insects during the dry season. It worked year after year. No plastic bags, no chemicals, just clean ash and careful hands. In India, ash has been used in ways many never hear about. Farmers use it to keep bugs off their crops by sprinkling it around the base of the plants. Some even use it to clean wells, not just for scrubbing, but because it helps balance pH and reduce bacterial growth. That's ash doing more than just preserving food, it's helping protect clean water. From Turkey, a guy shared how their family stored melons in straw ash, the same idea we mentioned earlier. The fruit stayed fresh for weeks longer than normal, protected from rot and bruising. And over in Italy, families have used wood ash for generations to whiten laundry, long before bleach was ever bottled. They'd mix ash with water, let it settle, and use the lye-rich liquid as a natural cleaner. It's a method that dates back to Roman times. These aren't just random stories, they're living proof. Wood ash may seem simple, even primitive, but it's one of the most universally trusted tools in off-grid life, whether you're in Amish country, a remote village, or your own backyard. This method isn't just Amish, it's global, and it's proven. If you're thinking about trying this yourself, here's how to do it safely, because not all ash is the same. First, only use wood that's clean and untreated. That means no painted boards, no plywood, and no pressure-treated lumber. Just plain hardwood like oak, maple, ash, or even fruit woods. Anything else can leave behind harmful residues you don't want near your food. Let the fire burn all the way down, and give the ash plenty of time to cool. Hot ash might feel warm even hours later, so always wait until it's completely cold. Next, sift out any large charcoal chunks or debris. A fine metal mesh works well. You want soft, powdery ash, not sharp bits or half-burned wood. Then store it in a dry, sealed container, like a tin, glass jar, or a plastic bucket with a tight lid. Moisture ruins everything. If ash gets even a little damp, mold can grow, and it's no longer safe for food use. Finally, when you handle it, whether you're packing tomatoes or layering seeds, always use dry, clean hands or tools. Never scoop with a wet spoon or handle with damp fingers. Done right, your ash stays clean, dry, and ready to use for months, just like the Amish have done for generations. Wood ash isn't just for preserving food. The Amish, and many others who live close to the land, have found all kinds of ways to use every last scoop of it. Here are a few that are too useful to leave out. First, cleaning oven glass. Mix a bit of fine ash with water until it forms a paste. Gently rub it over baked-on stains, and you'll be surprised how well it lifts off grease and grime without chemicals. It's a trick many homesteaders still swear by. Second, making soap. Historically, families would soak wood ash in water to create a mild form of lye, one of the key ingredients in old-fashioned soap. Mix it with fat, heat it carefully, and you'd have homemade soap, a skill still practiced in some Amish households today. Then there's the garden. Ash is naturally rich in potassium. That's where the word potash comes from. A light sprinkling of ash over garden beds can enrich the soil, especially for root crops like carrots and beets. Just be careful not to overdo it, since ash is alkaline. And finally, ash helps keep bugs away from stored food. A light dusting around storage bins or root cellar shelves creates a barrier that crawling insects don't like to cross. It's not a pesticide, but it's a gentle, natural deterrent. These aren't just side notes. They're part of why the Amish consider ash too valuable to throw out. It preserves food, protects the home, feeds the garden, and keeps things clean, all from something most people sweep up and toss away. In a time when we throw out more than we reuse, wood ash offers something rare, a reminder that nothing has to go to waste. For modern families trying to live more simply or more responsibly, these old ways can be a game changer. Ash fits right into a zero-waste lifestyle. It's made from wood you were already burning, and instead of tossing it, you're using it to store food, clean the home, enrich the garden, and even keep bugs away. It's also a quiet form of emergency preparedness. If the power goes out, Or if the grid becomes unreliable, it's comforting to know your food won't spoil in a day. Ash gives you a backup plan that doesn't rely on machines or money, just knowledge. And for those living off-grid, or even dreaming of it, this is the kind of skill that matters. No moving parts, no plastic, just wood, ash, and time-tested patience. As one Amish elder once said, if our grandparents could do it without electricity, there's no reason we can't learn again. And maybe that's the point, not just preserving food, but preserving the wisdom that goes with it. We're not just preserving tomatoes here. We're preserving wisdom. The kind that doesn't rely on gadgets or apps. Just quiet, proven methods passed down through generations who knew how to make things last. So the next time you've got extra tomatoes, or a bucket of fireplace ash, try this. Try packing a few the Amish way. Tuck them away in a wooden box, leave them undisturbed, and see just how much you can save, not just in food, but in peace of mind. Because when you know how to store food without electricity, you're not just prepared, you're free. If this kind of forgotten Amish wisdom matters to you, consider subscribing. There's plenty more where this came from, and every old trick has a story worth keeping alive.